Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the TradeStation Getting Started. Today, we're going to talk about the TradeStation Desktop. We're going to showcase and demonstrate some desktop functionality. If you're just getting started with TradeStation, this is the perfect place for you to learn how to take advantage of the TradeStation features. Before we get started, we have to go through the usual introductions and disclosures. My name is Jesus Nava. I'm the Director of Client Training and Education for TradeStation Securities. For me, it's always a pleasure to be here to talk about TradeStation and help you with the TradeStation technology. Every symbol that I use and idea that I present here is for educational purposes only. These are not recommendations of TradeStation. Active trading is not suitable for everyone, and past historical performance is no guarantee of future results. Let's go ahead and get started. Let me switch over to my TradeStation platform and start talking about features and functionality. All right. What you're looking at right now is TradeStation Today. This is a workspace that comes up when you first launch the TradeStation Desktop. If you don't have it on your TradeStation, if you don't know really how to find it, just go to the apps menu of the TradeStation platform and you're going to find a TS Today button right here on the very top. Right here on the left-hand side, by the way, we have a collection of videos that were recently created on the TradeStation Desktop. So if you haven't explored some of these videos, they are available on the TradeStation Today workspace. They are also available on the TradeStation YouTube channel. But this is a collection of videos that will get you started on the TradeStation Desktop. There's a lot of applications that you can launch within the platform. I'm sure that you guys have gone to the apps menu and see all the different buttons that you can click and all the different applications that you can use within the platform. And sometimes it is overwhelming. So it is great to have a series of videos that talk about each one of those applications to identify the ones that you're going to be using in your everyday trading. We're not saying that you should use every single application here because depending on your trading style, on how you approach the markets, you're going to be using some of those applications or not. Okay, so check out those videos right here in this drop down. Right here at the bottom, we also have a collection of workspaces. Workspaces are like samples, and if you're having challenges getting started with setting up your applications, the workspaces are very useful as examples, as templates. So you're welcome to use or open any of the sample workspaces and then build on top of that. You can modify those workspaces, remove any applications you don't need, resize windows or open new windows that you want on your platform. So feel free to use those and take a look at how TradeStation combines all those different applications. Over here on the right-hand side, we do update this frequently. This is upcoming events. So you can use the TradeStation Desktop to see what's upcoming in the schedule. Today is October 10th. We have, tomorrow's David Russell's market trends. And then we have next week's sessions here as well for you to register from within the TS Today. Now, of course, these events that you see here on TS Today are also posted on the TradeStation website, and Manolo is going to share the link here to the events page so that you can always keep an eye on the classes that are upcoming to see if there's anything that catches your eye or interests you. All right. And right here at the bottom, we have the what's new. If you want to every so often when you log into TradeStation, it'll prompt you and say, hey, there's a new version of TradeStation. Do you want to apply it? And it's going to give you a countdown. Sometimes it'll, force you to apply the update because that's the way the technology is set up, especially if there's something wrong or not working on the platform. But it'll tell you, right here, what's new and what's been fixed and what's been added to the platform. So you can use that as well. I'm going to move away from this TradeStation Today workspace. Remember that you can always reference that workspace through the apps menu, TS Today. I'm going to open up a new one. So right here at the bottom left of the TradeStation platform, we have the place where all the workspaces are going to be lined up. I'm going to click on the plus menu to open up a new workspace. You can see that it opens up another tab. It says Untitled Workspace because I haven't done anything to it yet. All right. Let's go ahead and click on apps, and I'm going to go and click on chart analysis. All right. Our presentation is going to be concentrated in three main areas of the platform. We're going to talk a little bit about charting, then we're going to transition over to scanning, and then we're going to talk a little bit about trading. So let's go ahead and take a look. I'm going to resize this window to fill my screen. There's a few things that I want to show you, things that I like to do on my own personal TradeStation, like changing symbols, maneuvering around the chart. I think are important things we need to know. The first thing that I do on my TradeStation chart is I like to use the up arrow and down arrow keys on my keyboard. If you use the up arrow key on the keyboard, it expands the chart. It adds bar spacing, what we call it in TradeStation. So just press the up arrow multiple times. I mean, you can open it up all the way until you see black. But then if you press the down arrow key, it does the opposite. It compresses the chart. It reduces the bar spacing. It reduces the bar spacing to a point that all the bars are going to be stacked on the left-hand side of my window, and I see some black area on the right-hand side. This means that the chart inside of TradeStation does not populate data automatically, so you have to request it. Now, I can request the data very easily by just typing in the amount of data that I want to request. You know, on a 5-minute time frame, a chart will usually give you 5 days of historical data. I'm not sure if you see my session breaks here on the chart, but they're supposed to be vertical dotted lines. Let me go ahead and make them a little bit more visible so you see them. Let me go over the color, session breaks, and I'm going to make them a little bit lighter. All right, so those vertical, lighter, like white lines are my session breaks. For this symbol, I'm looking at the continuous contract of the S&P E-mini futures, and you can see that there's 5 historical days. If I wanted to have maybe 10 historical days, all I need to do is type in 10 days. Anytime you use the keyboard, TradeStation is going to pop up what's called the command line. Command line allows you to type in commands, and TradeStation will respond. One of those commands, of course, is loading historical data. So if I type in 10 days, TradeStation will interpret that as me asking for 10 days of historical data. You see the word 10 days inside the command line. As soon as I press enter, you know, TradeStation will load 10 days of historical data in my chart and fill it up completely. The same thing happens if you want to change the symbol. Let's say that I want to see the price activity for Apple. I type in AAPL, and you see the command line pop up again. AAPL is right there in the middle. You hit enter, and it changes the chart to Apple. So very simple. You don't have to do anything on your platform to pop up the command line. It just needs to be active on the screen, of course. But as soon as you start typing on the keyboard, the command line will pop up and allow you to do many things. You can see that for Apple, since we don't have that overnight session, 10 days of historical data barely covers 1/3 of my chart. So I do need more historical data. Of course, you can request days, you can request weeks, or even years of historical data. It's just a matter of typing it in. So if I want to do 6 weeks, I just type in 6 weeks of data, hit enter, and then I see 6 weeks of data right here on the screen. Yeah. Okay, these are 6 weeks. Yeah. Let's do 6 months. Okay, that way I can get a scroll bar and I can see the 6 month of historical data for Apple. This chart goes all the way back to April 11th, 2023. So the scroll bar is right here at the bottom, and I use it sometimes to go left and right on the chart. You can use the right and left arrow on the screen, but I find that to be a little bit slow. So if you want to use the scroll bar, you can do that as well. So again, up arrow to expand the chart, the down arrow to reduce the bar spacing. Another thing that I'm going to show you is moving your cursor over here to the price scale, clicking and squeezing. Like you click and drag. You can drag down to reduce the scale, or you can drag up to expand the scale. Once you've done this to the chart, you can click on the candles and move them in any possible direction. You know, this allows you to go over to an area of the chart if you want to focus on that particular area, you know, so it's very, very useful. And once you've done your analysis and you've already finished doing what you were doing and you want to reset the chart back to the way it was when you first started, Your cursor, you can bring it down to the bottom of the chart, and you're going to see these overlay buttons that allow you to reset the scale. The fifth button here is a reset button that resets the scale, and it puts the chart to where it was. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about drawing tools and a little bit about technical analysis. Coffee, I do see your question about Heikin-Ashi. Heikin-Ashi, we don't have those built into the platform, although there are many users of TradeStation that have been able to write this in easy language. Not sure if you've heard of easy language before, but this is a proprietary TradeStation programming language that allows you to create studies and strategies. Well, some users have created Heikin-Ashi candles using easy language, and you can probably find those in the forums, okay? Let's go ahead and talk about drawing. If you go to the drawing menu right here at the top of the TradeStation chart, you will find all the drawing tools that you can use in the platform. I'm going to show you horizontal lines because I think these are very useful if you want to set up a price alert on the chart. Right now, Apple is trading at 178. It started a little bit higher, reaching closer to the 179. But let's say, for example, that you are bullish Apple and you just want to be aware when it reaches 179, you know, and I'm going to draw my line right here at 179 by just clicking there. And you can see that the line shows up. I may have changed the color of my lines. It may be different than yours. Those are things you can do on your TradeStation. You know, you can double click on that line and it takes you to the customized horizontal line. You can change the style, you can change the colors, you can change many things about that horizontal line. But one of the things that you find here in the double click is what I wanted to show you, that I can come here to the alerts tab and enable the alert. This will make the line hot so that when the price activity touches it, it'll give you an alert based on what you choose here. You can choose a specific sound, you can choose a pop-up window, you can even choose to receive an email alert when it happens. But by enabling the alert and clicking OK, my line is monitoring the alert, and if Apple trades at 179, then I'm going to be alerted. It's a very quick way of setting up a price alert on your chart. You can do the same with trend lines. If I go here to drawing and I click on trend line, I'm going to draw a trend line from this high to this high right here. All right, so I draw my trend line. If I double click on that line, I also have the ability to go to alerts and enable the alert. If I'm bullish, maybe I want to also monitor the 179 price, but I also want to monitor the breakout on that trend line that I just drew. So those are the type of things you can do on drawings. You can enable alerts on pretty much any drawing tool you find there. Some of you are probably Fibonacci fans. So if I go to the drawing menu, you'll find all the Fibonacci retracement calculations that are part of the TradeStation platform. You can draw them on the chart, enable alert, and TradeStation will do its job at notifying you when any of those lines are broken. All right. So that's drawing. I show you where they are. It's just a matter of clicking the drawing tool. Some of these drawing tools will require you to click once, twice, like in the trend line. The trend line requires you to click on a starting point and an end point, and that establishes the angle of that trend line. Some other drawing tools in there require 3 clicks, like Andrew's pitchfork, or the Fibonacci price extension lines require 3 clicks. But those are a little bit more advanced, more analytical. We do a class on just drawing tools, and we go a little bit deeper on that functionality. But for now, I just wanted to tell you where the drawing tools are and how to use some very simple lines on your chart. All right. Let's go over here to our studies menu. I'm going to click on add study because this is where all the indicators and all the technical analysis are going to be. So I'm going to look at the moving average 2-line study, and I'm just going to put it on the screen. As soon as you put that indicator on the screen, you see the 2 lines on the chart as we expected. But it didn't ask us, what type of, or what periods or parameters we wanted to use for those moving averages. Every indicator in the TradeStation platform has default parameter. So you can put it on the chart and it's going to work automatically for you. Then you can come in and modify it and choose, okay, I wanted to see a 30 period versus a 60 period moving average. And that can be done very quickly by double clicking on the moving average. You probably have noticed that I'm a fan of double clicking, and you'll find that on TradeStation Desktop, double clicking on things will take you to the customize window for that thing that you clicked on. So if you double click on the background, it'll allow you to change the color of the background and any other preferences. If you double click on the candles, it'll allow you to modify the symbol. You saw that I double clicked on the horizontal line and the trend line, and it goes right into the customize of that drawing tool. I'm going to double click on the moving average, and notice that it takes me to the customize indicator dialog. Just make sure that if you're double clicking, you are aware of where it's taking you, because sometimes it's happened to me too, where I think that I'm double clicking on a moving average line and I miss it, and I'm double clicking on the background and I'm thrown into a dialog that I don't recognize. So that could happen to you. So make sure that you're looking here at the top of the dialog and are aware that you're on the right one. So I'm customizing the indicator so I know that I'm in the right one. Inputs. Inputs is the tab that you're going to go to if you want to modify the parameters, the calculation of the study. In this case, I'm going to make the fast 30, and I want to make this low 60. Once I click OK, you can see how the two lines recalculate, they redraw, and now they're using 30 and 60 as I specified. The Inputs tab allows you to have this same indicator applied to different charts with different parameters. So it does become very flexible, and you can do pretty much anything you want on the TradeStation desktop. Another thing that I want to do, for example, in this chart, is monitor those two moving averages. When you're using moving averages, in this case, the two-line moving average, what you're looking for is for the two lines to cross. Now, right now, these moving averages are kind of on a bearish mode. It seemed like yesterday when we had that big drop in price in Apple, it dropped from 179.60 to 178.30 in 3 bars in 15 minutes. You see the moving averages kind of went into a bearish mode. They crossed right here, and they've been in a bearish mode even today, this morning. Now, the fast moving average, if you notice, this cyan line is kind of wanting to steer up. And you see the slow one going down. So eventually those lines are going to cross. And in simple concepts, that's exactly what the moving average is looking for the fast average to move above the slow average. And that's considered a bullish signal, an indication that the market may move in the opposite direction. So instead of me sitting here and waiting for those two lines to cross, I can set up an alert. And the same way we did it on the two drawing tools, I can double click on those averages, go to the alerts tab, enable the alert, and then choose how I want to be alerted. Maybe I want to be alerted once per bar. I have a 5-minute interval on the chart. So any 5-minute bar that meets the criteria is going to give me the alert. I can use, global messaging preferences or custom settings. A lot of times, you want a specific alert. So maybe I want a siren going off if the moving averages cross, or maybe I want the auga sound to come off if it crosses my trend line. So whatever it is, you can use custom settings or global preferences for your alerts. Okay. Once I click OK here, then my two moving averages are going to be monitored for the crossover, and I'm going to be notified when they cross. I am showing just one simple indicator. This is the moving average two line. What I just did here with the moving averages can be done with any technical analysis supplied in TradeStation. So what I want you guys to do is come here to studies and click on add study and explore everything that is available on the TradeStation platform. The bulk of analysis techniques are going to be right here in the indicator tab, but we also have show me's, paint bars, activity bars, and probability maps that are different types of analysis techniques, and see what's available. If you go to a show me category and you find something that's called consecutive ups, and you want to see how this is calculated, highlight the study and then click on definition right here. Definition is a great way for you to access documentation on any study. So here it explains what consecutive ups does, how it shows on the chart, and what type of calculation is performed. And that type of documentation is available for every study that is built into the TradeStation platform. So we were talking about the moving averages and monitoring the activity. And if the moving averages cross, then I'm going to be alerted. Maybe I can put in a trade based on my analysis and what I see on the chart. But I don't want to be glued to the screen. And so I'm going to come over here and go to a different workspace. I'm going to create a new one. Notice that, yes, the workspace are aligned at the bottom. So as long as I have the workspace open, all the workspaces are going to be streaming real-time data, and all the workspaces are going to be monitoring any alerts that I've set up and notify me if something is happening. So even though I don't have anything on the screen, I know that my Apple chart where I put in my 2 moving averages is being monitored tick by tick, and I'm going to get the alert even if it's not visible. And that's one of the nice things about TradeStation, that as long as you have things open, they're going to be monitored in real time. Ideally, though, if I'm a fan of moving averages, I don't want to have, dozens or even hundreds of different chart analysis monitoring my moving average. I need a way to scan the markets and find the securities that are crossing at this moment without having an individual chart for each one. And that's where scanning capabilities come into play. And TradeStation has some great scanning capabilities. I'm going to concentrate just on one of those tools, which is Radar Screen. Radar Screen will provide you that functionality of going out there in the market, look for securities and look for the ones that are displaying a certain behavior, the ones that are triggering a certain alert. Let's concentrate on the moving average for now. So let me go and resize this window. Let me add a list of symbols. You can add symbols one by one if you want to. You can create, custom watch lists. I'm going to create a symbol list here. I'm going to go to Data, Add Symbol List, and I'm going to add the NASDAQ 100 symbols. So these are the 100 symbols that make up the NASDAQ index. All right. Again, that's Data and add a symbol list. But yeah, you're free to add symbols one by one if you want to. Here, I'm going to remove a few columns. All the columns that are here with data are customizable. You can remove the ones you don't need, and you can add the ones that you really want. So in this case, I don't need bid, ask, high, or low. So I'm going to click and drag over those 4 column headers. You see how they're highlighted, and I'm going to press delete on the keyboard, and I do a quick deletion like that. You can click, one by one and delete them if you want to. I'm going to add another one. And in this case, I'm going to add, you guessed it right, I'm going to add a moving average 2 line, because I want my radar screen to scan through those 100 symbols and identify the ones that are crossing. Now, you'll notice that in the list of things that you can add to radar screen, you're going to find studies that you would usually put on a chart, which is what sets a radar screen apart from any other quotes window out there. So the same studies that you put on a chart, you can put them in radar screen. This gives you the flexibility of putting in a technical analysis on hundreds of symbols at one time, which is what I'm doing right now. I'm going to add the moving average 2 line, and I'm going to click OK. So those are put into my radar screen. I'm going to put a chart here on the right-hand side so that we can reference the moving average on a chart setting. So let me open up a chart, move it over here to the right, resize it. By the way, what I'm doing here is setting up a workspace the way that I like. You can do it any way you want. One thing that I'm going to do here is also link the 2 windows together. Linking in TradeStation is going to save you a lot of time as well, because if you want to change the symbol on one application, it changes the symbol on all the applications that are linked to it. So let me show you an example. I'm going to click on the S here for symbol linking on my chart, and I'm also going to do it here on my radar screen. And if I click on AMD, for example, for advanced, what is that, advanced micro devices. If I click here, the chart automatically updates to that symbol. So it just gives you a little bit more efficiency. I'm going to go here to studies on the chart, and I'm going to add the same moving average to line study. And if I want to do a more of a daily type of scan to see the ones that are crossing on a daily moving average, I can change the time frame. I'll change the time frame here on the chart to daily. All right. And I'll change the time frame here on radar screen. Notice that radar screen also has a time frame. A lot of times we don't see this type of setting in a quotes window. But since we allow you to add technical indicators to the watch list, there is a component of time frame, because what time frame do you want that technical study to be calculated on is important. So if I switch my interval to daily, I'm going to get, moving averages calculated on daily bars. I have to click on the symbol to change the time frame. So just remember that you don't change the interval column, you change the symbol. So that's because that's where the time frame is. It is linked to the symbol. So I'm going to click on the symbol header. This highlights the whole column, and I'm going to go to the time frame menu and select daily. Notice that it changes the interval for all symbols to daily. I'm not sure if you noticed, it happened very quickly, but my moving averages recalculated because they had to now calculate on daily bars. But let's look at one in particular. This is AMD. If you look at AMD, the moving averages here are 104.99 and 101.98. If I look over here, they're 104.99 and 101.98. So they are matching, and it's the same calculation, but on my radar screen is happening for 100 symbols simultaneously. So so next step, I want my radar screen to tell me, out of all these 100 symbols, which one is the one that's crossing right now. I'm going to right click on the header so that, again, any changes that I make apply to all the symbols. I'm going to go to studies, and I'm going to edit the moving average 2 lines for all symbols. This looks familiar because we've seen it on the charting. This is customized indicator. We know that we can go to the inputs and change the parameters. I'm going to leave them the way they are because what I want to show you now is how the alert works. I'm going to enable the alert. For this example, I want the alert to be continuous, but I want to disable sounds and I want to disable pop-up windows because I'm using the alert as a scanning feature. So I don't want to get those types of alerts. I just want to get visual type of alerts. So I set this to none. Notice that it says in parentheses for use when scanning for alerts in radar screen. And then I just click OK. Now my alert is already turned on this column. I'm not sure if you notice what changed, but every cell on the right side of this column has a little yellow marker letting you know that there's a active alert being monitored. And every so often I see a red marker. The red markers is the ones that I want to see. The red markers are the ones that are triggering the alert right now. So if I click on Apple, Apple seems to be triggering the alert right now. If I click on Apple, notice what's happening here on the chart. The 2 moving averages are crossing right now. I did not know that Apple was crossing on the moving averages today, or at least on these 2 moving averages. These are like a 9 and 18. But if you're monitoring, the universe of symbols, and you want to identify the ones that are, doing something, in this case, crossing on the moving averages, this is going to be a great tool. Let's take a look at another one. Adobe is also crossing. I click on Adobe, and then again, notice how Adobe is crossing, is showing me a bullish signal on those moving averages. In fact, I can take this one step further, and right here at the top of my radar screen, I can say, look for moving averages alert. By the way, this bar at the top is called the filter bar. It allows you to filter the symbols and only show the ones that are meeting the criteria you want. The criteria that I want is for the moving average alert to be true. And notice how it filters out my radar screen, removes any symbol that does not meet the criteria, and I'm only looking at the symbols that are triggering the alert for the moving average to line. So you can see that there's 10 symbols out of the 100 that are crossing right now. This is very powerful because you can do this type of scanning within minutes and find opportunities that you probably hadn't thought of before. Like, for example, I see Ross stores right here. I click it. Notice that the two moving averages are touching right now on the current bar. Is that a bullish signal? Well, the moving average says that it's a bullish signal. Now it's up to you to determine, is it time for the trend to change on this particular security? But it does allow you to do this type of sorting and scanning and only concentrating on symbols that are meeting the criteria you want. All right. Now, let's talk a little bit about trading and how you can place a trade on TradeStation using some of the advanced, let's not call it advanced because it's an efficient order entry tool. The Matrix is one of those tools that allow you to do one-click trading. If set up properly, of course. If I go here to the Matrix, all right, the nice thing of the Matrix is that it loads the symbol that you were looking at last. So notice that the symbol that was loaded here is ROST, which is Ross Stores. That's the one that I clicked on last, and that's the one that gets loaded on my Matrix. So very convenient if I wanted to trade it right away. I have the advanced trade bar enabled here. Let me go ahead and disable it. Right click, settings, advanced trade bar. I did a class recently on advanced settings, and I just had it enabled on my Matrix. But I'm going to resize some of the things here because I want to show you how to place trades here, which is very handy. All right. Notice that I don't have an open position for Ross. This matrix shows me what the current price of Ross is, 112.57. It does tell me market depth or level 2 data as well. My account, my login right here is enabled for level 2 data, and it lights up my radar screen with different orders that are sitting, waiting to get filled at different price levels. Notice that I'm getting the alert, chart analysis alert. I set up an alert on the trend line, and it just crossed. Notice that it's notifying me. So this workspace that I created earlier, there it is. Remember, guys, that we drew that trend line and we said, and we turned on the alert and said, well, if there's a bullish market and it doesn't quite reach the 179, I want to be alerted if it crosses that trend line. And it just touched it, and TradeStation alerted me. So now I can come back to this workspace and find out what's happening to Apple. Interesting. So I wanted to, it distracted me a little bit, but let me go back to what I was doing. I was talking about level 2, and the data that you see inside the blue and the red column, these are orders that are sitting and waiting to get filled. So these are unfilled orders on the buy, which is the blue, and on the sell side, which is the red. A lot of times you're going to see clusters of orders sitting at those prices, which is really cool because those levels can translate as support and resistance. If you have a big cluster of selling transactions and the price is coming up, and it hits that cluster of selling transactions, the price is going to stall for a moment right there, and maybe not even stall. Maybe it's going to have enough selling force that it's going to drive the price down. So having visibility on those clusters of orders that are waiting to get filled, I think it's also beneficial, and it's just additional data that the markets provide. So those numbers that you see inside the blue and the red are unfilled orders, and you can see how your orders play out with the orders that are already submitted to the market. So let's put in a trade here for Ross. What I want to do is, the price of Ross is pretty high, is 112. I'm going to use a chart here so that I can also get some visibility on the orders that I put in for Ross. So let me open up a chart. I'll put it right here. All right. I'm going to turn on this feature, which I disable on my charting, but charts usually display all the trading activity. You can turn that off by going to settings, account orders and positions, and checking this checkbox. I had turned it off, but it's on by default. But it does allow you to see the orders that you place on the chart as well, which is very useful. Let's say, for example, that I'm interested in buying Ross. I was saying that the price of Ross is a little high. So I'm going to use the axis increment here to, instead of having the prices here listed at a 1 penny increment, I'm going to increase the axis increment to 5 so that it condenses the view and the prices are displayed on a 5-cent increment. It gives me a bigger view of the market. I can see, the high and the low, the range of trading prices, and I can get a little bit more visibility. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to buy, let's say, 100 shares of Ross at the low of today. Well, close to, I'm not really sure what the low is. The low is 112.48. But since, we are only listing 5-cent increments, it's not visible here, but it's close enough. Let's say, for example, that I'm going to buy at 112.50, 100 shares. If it goes up $1, I want to get out. But if it goes down 50 cents, I want to get out. So that's kind of an all-inclusive trade. I'm just making it up in my head as an example to show you how to place it here on the matrix. A lot of times, it's very efficient for you to do all those trades at once. Figure out what your entry is going to be, figure out what your profit target and your stops are going to be. So you already calculated your risk reward, everything's in your head, and now it's time to place that trade onto the market. Now, notice that the current price is already at 112.50, so I may have to choose something a little bit lower, but we'll worry about that a little bit later. What I want to do is, before I place my entry, is I want to think about my exits. And I'm going to click here on the right-hand side, this checkbox that says Attach OSO. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of OSO, but OSO stands for Order Sense Order. And in an ideal, technology, this is the feature that allows you to have a primary order that sends secondary orders. What is it that we want to do? We want to do an order to buy, but at the same time, we want to send our selling transactions and have them connected to our entry. We already talked about having a $1 profit versus a 50-cent stop. So we need to know what that entry price is to calculate those other levels. The matrix makes it very simple for you to put in that type of trade. I'm going to come here again, make sure that Attach OSO is selected. Inside this dropdown, you have templates that you can use. I'm going to use one of them. Exit bracket, one limit, one stop. That's exactly the scenario that I'm describing right now. The limit will act as your profit target and your stop will act as your stop loss. I do have to click on the ellipsis to format. Based on my requirements, I did say that I wanted my limit order to be $1 away. Notice how the default is only 10 cents. I'm going to type in a 1 in there. And my stop market, I said that I want it at 50 cents. I'm going to type in 0.5 in there. So that's offsets from my entry. And all I need to do is decide where my entry is going to be. And this will automatically calculate where my target and my stops are going to be based on that ratio. Pretty simple, right? I'm going to click OK. And now let's put in my buy order. I'm going to put in my buy order right here at 112.45. Notice that I can hover over the blue. If you're a buyer, you click on the blue. If you're a seller, you click on the red. So you join, buyers or sellers. Notice that on the left, I see an indication of the type of order that is going to be submitted. I see the quantity of 500. Now, I did say that I wanted to trade only 100, so I have to come here to the quantity box and change this to 100. Now, when I come over here to 112.45 and I hover over the blue, I see the indicator of buying 100 limit. I click once, and there we go. Our trade is in. This is a buying transaction at 112.45. You can see my stop right here at 111.95, exactly 50 cents below. And if I scroll up, I see my target at 113.45, $1 above my entry. I also see those orders reflected here on the chart, which makes it very, it enhances my visual because I can see my orders in relationship to what's happening to the market, which is pretty cool also. If I make any changes to my order, let's say, okay, I don't want to wait anymore. I'm going to drop it here at 112.60. Let me go ahead and click and drag my order to the selling side. Order filled. I do get my order filled. Notice what happens. I get a visual of what my fill price was. Well, this is not exactly my fill price, but it does highlight my fill price is right here. I can see 112.57. You see it on the chart. The reason why I don't see the exact fill price here on my matrix is because we decided to list the prices at a 5-cent increment. I can change that. You know, I can go here and move it to 1 penny, and then I can see the real, you know, entry price, 112.57, and I can see real-time P&L on the left-hand side. So that type of functionality where it allows you to put in your entry with the exits, it's great. And you can work and you can, you know, explore all the functionality on OSO and also OCO. OCO, it's order cancels order. You know, in just to give you an example, this selling transaction at 113.57 and this selling transaction at 112.07, it's a bracket and it's set up as an OCO. If one gets filled, the other one gets canceled. I'm getting an alert here on the trend line again. Notice that it's a little bit annoying because I set it to every single tick, so it's triggering and triggering all the time. So a lot of times when that happens, I go here to my trend line and I set the alert to only alert once per bar. That's a little easier, you know, every bar that meets the alert, and the alert is triggered at the same frequency of your time frame. All right, so that's what I wanted to show you: charting, scanning, and trading. Let's go ahead and take some questions here if there are any. Joseph is asking, can you create a trailing stop? For sure, I can. In fact, let me go ahead and click on the close button here. The close button will send a market order to sell everything that I have, and it'll cancel any open orders. So notice that when I click on close, order filled. I'm not sure if you hear the order filled audible alert that I get, but now I'm out of the Ross position. Let me go ahead and put in that trade, but this time I'm going to work with a trailing stop. So what I want to do is I want to go to the settings again. This order right here, my stop, instead of being a fixed 50 cents, I'm going to go here to the advanced side, click on the ellipsis, turn on trailing stops, and set the 50 cents right here as a trailing stop. I'm going to click OK. And this time, instead of submitting a buy order here, I'm just going to do a buy market. Order filled. But now this stop that you see right here, the 112.23, is a trailing stop. Notice that it just moved to 112.25. So it's actively moving as the market moves in my favor. Okay, the horizontal line was triggered. So we already crossed the 179. That's good for Apple. Again, I didn't make that alert once per bar. All right. Okay, so that's the way to do it. So as Ross goes up, my stop is going to be moved. I'm not sure if you noticed that it moved from 112.23 to 112.25. Guy is asking, are the orders held on TradeStation servers when my platform is shut down? Great question, Guy. Any orders that you submit on the TradeStation platform, for example, the one that I just submitted for Ross, they're all sitting on the TradeStation server. So, and this is true for any order entry tool that you use on the TradeStation platform. The orders are submitted and they leave your computer. So even if I were to shut down my TradeStation and shut down my computer completely, let's say that there's a hurricane and my power goes out, I don't have any electricity, you can rest assured that any orders that you submitted are going to be sitting on the TradeStation server, and TradeStation is monitoring your order conditions. At that point, if you're concerned about your trading, I would recommend that maybe pull up your phone. Maybe you have cell phone service and you can pull up the TradeStation mobile app to see and monitor your orders. Or you can call our trade desk to find out what's happening to your positions, okay? But yeah, every order that is submitted, it is sitting on the TradeStation servers. And this is another suggestion that I have for anyone that is using the TradeStation platforms. Once you set up the TradeStation mobile app, the mobile device can receive these notifications of filled orders. So if you get filled on any order and you've already logged into the mobile app of TradeStation, TradeStation will push a notification to your phone letting you know that you've been filled on something, and it'll tell you the specifics, the symbol, and the fill price, even if you don't have the TradeStation mobile app running. That's the way that TradeStation sends notifications. Just make sure that when you install the TradeStation mobile app, that you enable notifications, and TradeStation will send those alerts over to your phone, okay? So those are all the questions that I see here in the chat. I want to appreciate everyone's time. Thank you for spending this time with me here in this class. I hope that you walk away with something useful. And notice and remember that we do these getting started classes every Wednesday at 10 a.m. So if you want to join us every Wednesday, please do so. Manolo has shared the link for the upcoming events. Make sure that you look at all the topics that are upcoming. We have a master class series on Tuesdays, more advanced topics on technical analysis, strategy trading, and easy language programming, that if you're interested in attending any of our masterclass sessions, those are available as well. But I want to say thank you for your time. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for your support of the TradeStation business. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.